The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the kind you find at midnight, but the heavy kind. The kind that sits on your chest and waits. The apartment smelled of iron, sharp and unforgiving. A single lamp flickered against the wall, throwing long shadows over the floor where a body lay face down, blood seeping like a secret too heavy to keep. The phone on the counter buzzed once, then again. Nobody reached for it. Nobody wanted to. And somewhere, in the corner of my head, a voice whispered, "You didn't hear this from me." I didn't rush. Panic makes mistakes, and mistakes bury the truth. Instead, I let the room speak. The broken glass under the table. The overturned photo frame, its picture missing. A calendar on the fridge marked with a date that had already passed. Small things, easy to overlook. I cataloged them in silence, knowing the weight of each detail. The police would call it random, a robbery gone wrong. But the timestamps on the phone's messages told me otherwise. Someone had been here after the death, long enough to erase what mattered. And lies have fingerprints. This one had too many. It started with eyes. The widow couldn't hold mine for more than a second. Her hands trembled, not with grief, but calculation. The neighbor across the hall spoke too quickly, too polished, like a man rehearsing his innocence. And then there was the brother, calm, distant, already moving money before the body was cold. I felt it in the air. This wasn't chaos, it was choreography. Every word was a line from a script written long before the blood hit the floor. And I, unwillingly, had walked into their play. The more I listened, the louder the silence became. Each pause, each glance, each casual denial. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. And in those whispers, I began to hear the truth. This crime wasn't random. It was personal. And someone close wanted me to see only what they allowed. The recording was buried in the victim's laptop, tucked into a folder disguised as tax files. A single video, timestamped 2 days before the murder. I watched in the dark, my reflection ghosting back at me from the screen. The victim's voice was tired, resigned. He spoke of debts, of betrayal, of a secret too dangerous to keep quiet. And then he named a single person, the brother, the man who'd been too calm, too ready. Not greed, not revenge, power. The kind you build in shadows when no one's watching. I replayed the video until the words carved themselves into my head. Each syllable stripped away the denial, the doubt, the carefully planted lies. There it was, the truth, clear and sharp, like glass under bare feet. When the screen went black, I didn't feel anger, not even relief. Just a hollow certainty. The kind that doesn't shout, it waits. And I waited too. It didn't happen in an alley or a back room. Justice came in daylight, under the clean fluorescence of a boardroom, where the brother thought himself untouchable. I didn't accuse. I didn't raise my voice. I simply placed the USB drive on the table, its metal glinting like a blade. The others in the room, investors, partners, friends, leaned in as the video began to play. The victim's words filled the silence, unbroken, undeniable. The brother's face drained, his mouth opened, then closed again, like a man gasping for air in a room with no windows. No violence was needed. The evidence was enough. His empire collapsed in seconds, the walls caving in not from force, but from truth. He looked at me, and I looked back with nothing. No rage, no satisfaction, just silence. By the time security moved in, it was already over. He wasn't destroyed by me, he was destroyed by himself. Afterward, the city moved on. The papers wrote their headlines. The cameras found new stories. But I carried the silence. I walked past the apartment one last time, the lamp still flickering through the thin curtains, like a reminder of how it started. Blood scrubbed from the floor, but not from memory. People asked me if it felt like justice. I told them nothing. Because justice isn't clean. It isn't merciful. It's just inevitable. And inevitability has no comfort. I closed the door on that night and left it behind, though it never really left me. There's no glory in the truth, only weight. And in the end, I learned something simple, something final. Justice was never about mercy.